Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our hadith class. We are doing the kitab known as Riyaadhus Saaliheen of Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, and tonight inshallah ta'ala we are starting from a new chapter. It's following up on the previous chapters which were of a similar nature, but anyhow tonight's a new one. So let us begin. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So this is Babun fi ta'awuni ala al-birri wa taqwa, the chapter with regards to aiding one another in birr and taqwa, piety and the fear of Allah. So taqwa and piety. So as is the norm, he begins with the ayat of the Quran. So he says, قال الله تعالى وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah says, وتعاونوا, تعاونوا, it's meaning aid one another على البر والتقوى, in piety and consciousness of Allah. ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان, and do not aid one another in sin and transgression. وقال تعالى والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. And then he quotes basically the entire Surah Asr because it's a short surah. Wal Asr, and Allah takes an oath by time. Innal insana lafi khusr. Verily mankind is in a loss. Illa, except for who? Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Four things Allah mentioned. Except for those who believe in Allah. Amanu. That's number one. Wa amilu salihat, and they do good deeds. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, and out of the good deeds that they do, there are two of note. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, they encourage one another with the haqq. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and they encourage one another with sabr. So, I'll read first Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah statement, and then, we can look at this shortly. He says, قال الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله إن الناس في غفلة عن تدبر هذه السورة ولو لم ينزل الله غير هذه السورة لكفت الناس. He says that Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said that mankind are in a negligent state with regards to pondering over the surah. Its power is such that that if Allah had not revealed anything of the Quran, if there was no Quran besides Surah Al-Asr, he says, لَكَفَتِ النَّاسِ, then this one surah would have been sufficient for the salvation of all of mankind. That's how powerful is the surah, and yet most people read it. It's a quick surah, it's only 3 ayat, so you read it quick, when you're making quick salah, so you read Surah Asr. But the depth of the surah, well over the heads of people. Like I said, even the verbatim-ish type translation I just gave now of tawasaw bil haqq, tawasaw bil sabr, but it doesn't exactly mean with those, let's put it, limited words. Tawasaw bil haqq, they encourage one another with the haqq. So what is the haqq in the context? We're not doing tafsir here, so I don't want to take too much time. Otherwise, we'll spend the entire night just on the tafsir of this ayah itself. But anyhow, so tawasaw bil haqq, they encourage one another with everything which is the haqq. Haqq here meaning everything of Islam. In other words, amr bil ma'roof. Tawasaw bil haqq, you can read as amr bil ma'roof. Wa tawasaw bil sabr is nahi anil munkar. If you're looking at the ayah, this is what the command is actually, that you do amr bil ma'ruf and you do nahi anil munkar. You command and you encourage one another on every single thing of goodness. Yes, of speaking the truth. That's one of the meanings. And doing everything which is correct, doing your commands and doing the nawafil, all of this falls under tawasaw bil haqq. And tawasaw bil sabr, where does sabr fit in? It is sabr, the sabr that you make against disobeying Allah. So I gave an audio once upon a time on the various types of sabr. So there's sabr in doing good deeds. There's sabr in abstaining from sin as well. Two distinct types of sabr. So tawasaw bi sabr, when you encourage one another to have sabr. You want to commit this haram, don't do it. Ergo, nahi anil munkar. So that's like I said, the most briefest look at Surah Al-Asr, there's a mountain of depth to the surah itself, but nonetheless, we will keep that for a tafsir class one day, inshallah ta'ala. So let's move on to the hadith. Hadith number 178. عن أبي عبد الرحمن زيد بن خالد الجهني رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Hazrat Abu عبد الرحمن رضي الله عنه, he's famously known by his name, not his kunya. Hazrat Zayd ibn Khalid al-Juhani, from the you know, this you've got, what's his name, Sheikh Juhani, you know, in the Haram today. So that this is it's from the tribe. That's how everybody ends up being Juhani, Juhaina. So hence you become a Juhani. So Hazrat Zayd ibn Khalid al-Juhani radiyallahu anhu, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Man jahaza ghaziyan fi sabilillahi faqad ghaza." That he who prepares a mujahid fi sabilillah, then he has taken part in the battle. وَمَنْ خَلَفَ غَازِيًا فِي أَهْلِهِ بِخَيْرٍ فَقَدْ غَزَى. And the one who looks after the family of a mujahid with goodness, then he too has fought in the path of Allah. Muttafaqun alayh. Hadith is both by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim rahimahumullah. So how does this hadith fit into the context? So man jahaza ghaziyan fi sabilillahi faqad ghaza. So the first thing is ghazwa fi sabilillah, and regardless of how people want to take it, when the term ghazwa fi sabilillah is used, it refers to jihad, and jihad in Shari'i terms refers to fighting on the battlefield. Everything else is linguistics. Shar'an, jihad, and fi sabilillah refers to fighting on the battlefield. Everything else fits in linguistically later on. So your studies and everything else will fit in from a linguistic perspective, but shar'an, it refers to fighting. So anyhow, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam states is that you have a jihad which is taking place. Let's put it this way, a nafil jihad. It's not a fard. In other words, it's an iqdami jihad. It's an offensive jihad, not a defensive jihad. So many people don't even know that the offensive jihads is a reality, the way the world has moved today. But nonetheless, so when it is an offensive jihad taking place, so in other words, not everybody is needed to go with. So in that case, now there's somebody who's able to go, and you now prepare him. You give him a sword and a shield and an armor and a horse and, you know, everything. You kit him out, in other words. Then faqad ghaza. Then you will get the reward of having fought in the path of Allah. Why? Because this is a nafil act over here. If it was a farad act, you can't say, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to send you. That would never work, because then it is farad upon you. Because this is a defensive jihad in this case here. When it becomes fard ayn, an individual obligation, it's not a fard kifaya even. So in this sort of situation here, we're dealing with a nafil jihad. So some people can go, others can stay behind, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Then when you kit somebody out to go and fight in the path of Allah, you get the reward of having fought in the path of Allah. And the second type, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned, and it's not restricted to this, but it's the most common things. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, وَمَنْ خَلَفَ غَازِيًا فِي أَهْلِهِ بِخَيْرٍ. The one who looks after the family of a mujahid with goodness, then too faqad ghaza, then he as well has gets the reward of having fought in the path of Allah. So you have a person and he's ready to fight in jihad. Maybe, for example, you are not in the best of health, but you have money. So you say, okay, you go, let's put it this way, you got a youngster and an old man. The old man has the money, he has no health. The youngster has got health, he's got no money. So the youngster is ready to go, but he has nothing to prepare himself with. The old man has got everything, but he has no health to be able to go. So they do a switch over. And the old man say, I will give you the goods, you know, the weapon and everything like this here. You go then fi sabilillah. Then the youngster go, he gets his full reward. The old man gets his full reward as if he had fought in the battlefield too. So that's how it goes. Then the other one, maybe you don't have weapons and stuff, but you say, you know what, you go out, I will look after your family. So, you know, the weekly groceries, monthly groceries, daily groceries, whatever the case may be, whatever the family needs, he sees to them like this here, then faqad ghaza, he also gets the reward of having fought in the path of Allah. So it applies also in this sort of a situation where the mujahid has gone out. He obviously he's not here to look after his family. He's not here to send money back home. There's things that need to be done. Maybe even the Mujahid is being martyred, now you look after the family, then faqad ghaza, your reward is there of having fought in the path of Allah as well. It's something people tend to overlook, but it is a great reward nonetheless. Now, you understand it from the context of the hadith with regards to a mujahid, but what a person can also gain from this hadith is al-ibratu li'umum al-lafz, except here it's khas al-fadh, but the point being that if you have somebody who wants to study the deen, for example, but he has no money, so he's forced to go out and work. Otherwise, he can't look after his family back home. But now you come and you're like, you know what? You go and study. I will pay for your studies. That's how you jahaza taliban, to use it in those words. So you prepare the talib, you give him the money, you pay his fees and things of the sort here, you buy his kitabs and whatever the case, then you will get the reward. And this will be a sadaqah jariyah for you, because everything that he learns and everything that he teaches going forward, you will share in that reward as well. Great thing in its own right. Then that's number one. Number two is maybe it's a free madrasa, whatever the case may be. So he can go, but in his job, he was earning maybe 5,000 rand a month. So it's enough for his family to survive for the month. But now, since he can't study and work at the same time, you say, you know what, you study, I look after your family. I'll give you that I'll give your family that 5,000 for the month. Or they can just come to my shop. I got a supermarket over here. They can take anything they need. Then they come and they take the sugar and the flour and everything like this here, and you just give it. Then you get that same reward as well. Why? Because you are facilitating for this person to have gone and done that action. In this case, it was for the mujahid. In that case, it was for the student. And thus, for anything which is in khair, anything of goodness, of deen, you will share in that sort of reward as well. And that's the lesson we get from this hadith here. Let's move on. حديث number 179. وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعث بعثا إلى بني لحيان من هذيل فقال لينبعث من كل رجلين أحدهما والأجر بينهما. رواه مسلم. Hazrat Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent a ba'athan ila bani Lihyan. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent a like, what is a ba'ath? A ba'ath is troops, the soldiers, not the soldiers as people call it today, where you are a conscripted soldier. Yeah, in the time of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, people weren't soldiers. It was the normal, every single Sahabi that would take part in the battle. It was not everybody was like Hazrat Khalid radiallahu anhu, who was a consummate soldier, like from birth. Not everybody was like that. Some were normal people who were farmers and stuff, but they went out fi sabilillah. But in any case, so Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was gathering an army against Bani Lihyan. Now, what is the incident with regards to this? You can refer back to the Ghazawat series that I had done on when Ramadan series, was it last year or the year before last? No, last year was the Ahlul Bayt series. The year before that was the Ghazawat series. So 2 years ago, Ramadan series, there was the Ghazwa of Banu Lihyan, which took place in the 6th year after Hijrah. So if you want to know the incidents of the battle, you can make reference to that audio, inshallah. It will give you some insight into that affair that had taken place. But in any case, so Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was getting Sahaba from the tribe of Hudayl. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لِيَنْبَعِثْ مِنْ كُلِّ رَجُلَيْنِ أَحَدُهُمَا وَالْأَجْرُ بَيْنَهُمَا. That out of every 2 people, let one of them go forward and the reward will be shared between the 2 of them. In other words, if the tribe consists of 100 people, let 50 people go out. 50 will stay behind. They will provide the equipment and things for the other 50. So the 50 who go out and fight will get their reward, and the 50 who gave them the means and the money and the equipment and the mounts and the swords and the armor and the arrows and bows and stuff, they will get that reward as well. So it will be treated as if the entire tribe has fought fi sabilillah, even though only half had done, but the other half had prepared them for the battle. So it's a similar lesson like in the previous hadith. Imam Muslim rahimahullah is the narrator of this hadith. Let us move on. Hadith number 180. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لقي ركبا بالروحاء فقال من القوم. Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam met a group of people at Rawha. Now Rawha is the name of a place, it's close to Medina. فقال من القوم, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked them, who are you all? You know, there's a lot of you here, who are you? فقالوا المسلمون, so they said, we are Muslims. فقالوا من أنت, and these people now, these Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they said, من أنت, who are you? You know, they're speaking to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and they're saying, who are you? قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, and Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم says, I am the Rasul of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم. فرفعت إليه امرأة صبيا فقالت ألي هذا حج, and then a woman from amongst them, she raised up a little child and she said, ألي هذا حج, is there hajj for a little child like this? قال نعم ولك أجر. Rawahu Muslim. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, yes, and for you is the reward. Imam Muslim rahimahullah is the narrator of this hadith. So looking back into the hadith, there's a lot you can take out from this hadith. Number one, not all of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum literally lived in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Some had become Muslim, you know, like you had in the early days, there were Sahaba who went out, like Hazrat Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Hazrat Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, Hazrat Mus'ab ibn Umair, and many other of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. They were sent, they converted people to Islam, so those people became tabi'een. Later on, they became Sahaba when they met Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So anyhow, so not everybody literally lived in the company of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were Muslims, but not everybody was there. So these people, that's number one. Or number two, they could have met Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam once and then went back to their places. So they in Rawha and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is in Medina. Let's put it this way, two neighboring towns. So they don't exactly come into Medina. So they saw Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam once and that was it. So some time passed by and it's like they don't remember Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam by face. That's number two. Number three is that, as what the ulama have mentioned, is that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam lived such a ordinary life, let me put it that way. No doomed harm, you know, no you must have your imbongi jumping around there, singing your praises, a red carpet being rolled out for you. None of these sort of things for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No Hazrat walking there with 42 murids, making it seem like the sun shines out of you. None of these sort of things. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, if they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam amongst the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and this had taken place, you'll find it in a hadith, and the people come and they say, where's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In this one gathering, and they don't know who is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the only thing, let me not say the only thing, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam could be discerned because of the ru'b, that awe that Allah had given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not somebody who went to, you have some people and then they wear one scarf for a turban, a scarf around their neck, these ghutras, Palestinian type scarves. So one is a turban, one is a neck scarf, one is over the shoulder. It is like, why do you need so many? Put thick black kajal under their eyelids are even covered with kajal, to make them seem like something. So you have these type of people who draw attention to themselves. They're eccentric. No, but anyhow, the point being, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not one of those people. Plain simple in the dress way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it wasn't like, I have to dress up so everybody can know who I am. Like a king wants to wear his fancy, he must wear a crown in it this year so everybody can see I'm the king, I'm the this. But that was not the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thus, they couldn't tell Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam apart from any other Sahabi, because how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam dressed, the rest of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum dressed too. So nonetheless, there are many things you can look in from there, but simply put, the simple lifestyle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then that's the one part. So they're Muslims and everything. And then the woman raising the child, a sabi. Now, in Arabic, you can check this up yourself. according to the age of a person. There are different names which are used: a tifl, a sabi, a shab, a sheikh, kuhul, different things as you move through the various stages of life. So a sabi, you can tell فرفعت إليه امرأة صبيا, she lifted a sabi, which means it is a child which is carried. So we're not talking about a child who's 5 years old, unless you are one of those who carry your 5-year-old children all over the place. But generally a 5-year-old child can walk around and run around and do everything. But anyhow, so the ruling here that yes, there is Hajj for the child. What is meant by this? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there will be Hajj for the child, or at least there is reward for the Hajj that the child like this does. Walaki ajrun, and you will get the reward as well. In other words, because you bring your little child with for Hajj, you will share in the reward. Now you can apply this in your life today in the context that Salah is not farad upon a child at this age. As you know, that as Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Murru awladakum bis-salati wa hum abna'u sab'in," or kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam, that command your children with performance of salah when they are 7 years old. So obviously, when you are a person, a parent, and you have a child that's 3, 4, 5, they well below this age. But because you are a person who performs salah, so you bring your child with سبعة يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. That famous hadith, 7 people who will be in the shade of Allah, the arsh of Allah on that day when there will be no shade but the shade of Allah. ومنهم شاب نشأ في عبادة الله. Amongst those 7 is the youngster who has been, nasha'a. He was brought up in the worship of Allah. So if you start with your child at that age, so father goes off to masjid and he brings his son with him. So the child, not somebody who's going to run around and dirty the masjid and, scream and cry and disturb everyone. Not that kind. But a child who is decent, that you have raised properly, that you can have your child stand there and he'll follow you in salah, that sort of thing. A well-behaved child, not a hooligan, let's put it that way. Because some people, they keep their children like barbarians. So you can't exactly put all children in the same category. You find many times you'll have it even, and there'll be a little child of 2 years old and he's performing Hajj, and everybody will be like, they so happy to see a little child like that. So some are well-behaved, decent, and some are like all they can do from morning to night is cry and scream and like throw tantrums and stuff. So we're not referring to those ones. So if you have one that can't behave, then you leave him at home. But if you have a child that can behave, then you can bring them to the masjid, and it's good that you let them start from that young age, worshipping Allah, being in the habit of performing salah, and you will get reward for it too. That's how what you take home from this hadith here as well. Rawahu Muslim, Imam Muslim rahimahullah narrates this hadith. Now time is running short. Let's move quickly on to the next one. حديث number 181. وعن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: الخازن المسلم الأمين الذي ينفذ ما أمر به. Okay, let's read him bit by bit. Hadrat Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, he said that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Al-Khazinul Muslimun Amin. A Khazin, what's the Khazin? A Khazin is like a treasurer. If you had in a Khilafah, the Baytul Mal, the one who looks after it is the Khazin, the treasurer. Al-Muslim, who's a Muslim. Al-Amin, who is trustworthy. At-Tajir al-Saduq al-Amin. If you know that other hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam praising the trustworthy, truthful shopkeeper, التاجر الصدوق الأمين مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء, or كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, that the pious, upright, truthful businessman, he will be with the Anbiya and the Shuhada, like that. That's the rank he goes to on account of being a true, proper Islamic businessman. There's a lot that can be spoken on that hadith, but at another time. So anyway, so the treasurer, who's a Muslim and trustworthy, الَّذِي يُنَفِّذُ مَا أُمِرَ بِهِ, the one who fulfills that which he has been commanded with. In other words, my job description is I'm the treasurer, I must look after it, and if the people come, they are poor, they must receive zakah, I must give them based on what I was told. That's how much you must get this year, so much, like that. Ma umira bi فَيُعْطِيهِ كَامِلًا مُوَفَّرًا. And he gives it fully, completely. He holds nothing back. It's not his in the first place. He's giving it out. But طَيِّبَةً بِهِ نَفْسُهُ. With a good heart, with a clean heart, open-faced, happy, and things like this. فَيَدْفَعُهُ إِلَى الَّذِي أُمِرَ لَهُ بِهِ. And he gives it to the one that he was commanded to give to. In other words, you were commanded, this is the day for Sasa grants in South Africa, let's put it this way. But here in this case, it's for people to come collect their zakah. So you were told all of these people, they're going to come and collect their zakah. So now you are waiting for them. And when they come, you give them the money. It's 100, let's put it this way, 100 dirhams each one. So he comes, you give him, smile, every like this here. Then he is ahadul mutasaddiqaini or ahadul mutasaddiqina. Both ways. He says, then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, a person like this, he is one of those who is giving sadaqah. So the Baytul Mal is giving sadaqah, and you who's the khazin, who's just entrusted with it, you get the reward of having given sadaqah despite you don't have one blue cent in there. Now, what is this? There's a lot of masail you can derive from this. Let me just finish here. وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ الَّذِي يُعْطِي مَا أُمِرَ بِهِ. In another narration, he mentions the one who gives out that which he was commanded to give. وَالضَّبَطُ. And with regards to the word, الْمُتَصَدِّقَيْنِ بِفَتْحِ الْكَافِ مَعَ كَسْرِ النُّونِ عَلَى التَّثْنِيَةِ. So مُتَصَدِّقَيْنِ is a dual form. So he is one of the two people giving sadaqah. In other words, the Baytul Mal is one and he is the second. وعكسه على الجمع, and with the opposite way, meaning with بكسر الكاف and it's supposed to be فتح القاف, not كاف. So بفتح القاف مع كسر النون, or بكسر القاف مع فتح النون متصدقين. That's with the opposite, the aks that he's speaking about here, على الجمع, in a plural form. So either he is أحد المتصدقين or أحد المتصدقين. Both ways are valid. وكلاهما صحيح. Both ways are valid. So whichever way you read the hadith, whether you say then he is one of the two people giving sadaqah, or you say he's one of the people giving sadaqah, then both of it is valid and correct. Now, in this case here, the person is only just doing his job, in other words, but you can apply it also in the context. What is this? He gives it fully without begrudging anyone. Sometimes you put a person in a position here and it's his duty, and then he's like, all of this money, why must it be given away to these people? They don't deserve it. The way some people will be like, he's got the TV in his house, how can we give him zakah? Even though, if he's eligible to receive zakah, he can receive zakah. But now you're like, this man, why must I give for him? It's not yours in the first place. But anyhow, the point being, or maybe the person don't even have any crime against him, but you just like, I could have been taking this money for me. I also need this money. What is this that these people must get such a big amount? Things of the sort. So you give it not what طيبة به نفسه. You're not giving it with a clean heart. You're giving it, you begrudgingly, like I give it but you're not really. Like I say, it's not even yours in the first place, but because of in your heart is not clean when you are giving it. Then you are not you don't fall under the purview of this hadith who are being one of the mutasaddiqeen, but rather you are a person with a bad heart, a dirty heart, let's call it that way. So nonetheless, you apply it in today's world, and you have a charity organization, and your job in the charity organization is to dish out food for the poor, or your job is to, you have these organizations going around in Syria, in Yemen, in different countries in the world, and people are poor, you see many of them. Then the people give money and they make food, like the biryanis or the Syrian version of it anyway, and then with chicken on, and they give it like this. Now you have some people, and some people take it and like they look in one direction and they give it to you like behind their back, like they're like just getting through the numbers. And the other one is like you have people who they throw it to you like you can't even come fast enough. Just get it and go out. And then you have the people who smile and they'll like rub the head of the child and they'll give it nicely over to him, and the child goes away there smiling. A child who's poverty stricken, living in a war-torn country, and he gets a warm meal because sometimes 3 weeks had gone by and they had never had a decent meal. And we sitting here eating ourselves fat. But anyhow, then that is the difference. You give it with a clean heart. You are happy, even though it's not your money, but you are happy to be somebody to assist. So even though it's another organization, a charity organization, but you are just there being a volunteer, you helping dish out, you helping pass over, you carrying bottles of water, whatever the case may be, then you are ahadul mutasaddiqeen. You are from those people who are giving sadaqah. You are, like I say, at the end of the day, what you understand also from this year, the khazin is somebody who's appointed by the khilafah, so by the khalifa, so he'll have a certain salary, let's put it this way, but yet despite that, Allah still gives him reward. So in a like manner, even if you happen to be working for a charity organization and you get your salary, but you have a nice, open, smiling face, you when you deal with the people and stuff like this, then Allah will still reward you even after all of that too. So there are many different masail that the person can take home, lessons that we should be learning from the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like I say, sometimes you read it, it goes in one ear, it comes out the other ear. You look at the verbatim words only, and that's it. But in reality, we are to take the ahadith and apply it into our lives. And we see, how does this relate to our lives, that we can take these laws and lessons and implement it in our lives. So inshallah, hopefully what was mentioned here tonight, we can try in whichever way possible, whichever applies to us, we implement it in our lives. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we ask that Allah makes us from these people who are the mutasaddiqeen, the ghuzat, those who fight in the path of Allah, those who support the students to study the deen of Allah, things all of this sort. Whatever way possible, you will get your reward at the end of the day. And that's the end of this chapter, and we will stop on this point here for tonight, inshallah ta'ala, and next week we can continue on from the next one. But that being said, we end for tonight on page 94 and hadith number 181. So we end on this point and we say, wa sallallahu wa sallama wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad, subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.